Hi, Jordan. It's so
Hi.
nice of you to join us today.
Hi,
What we're going to be doing
Professor.
is having a brief little interview. I'll have you introduce yourself in a brief little interview to help any students that might be interested or have some questions about working at Torrid. So, who are you?
So I'm Jordan. I'm an assistant designer at Torrid. Been here for about almost a year. It's gonna be my year anniversary right before my birthday, actually, which is
Oh, nice.
crazy.
Very cool.
Yeah. But like,
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
oh no, I was gonna say went to Cal State Long Beach,
Yeah.
majored in fashion merchandising, all the bells
Awesome.
and whistles.
We love hearing that. Okay, so let's get into a little bit of you describing your job for us.
So essentially there's different roles in design just because Torrid is so big, with different capsules and different categories. So right now I work under the curve apparel team and I do swim, sleep and lounge, as well as nightfall and retro, which is their new capsules that they just dropped, and Halloween. So essentially I just help my team with CADs. I go to all the line sheet updates, I go to fittings, making sure that everything fits right for everyone, develop new styles and ideas, of course, and also work with cross-functional partners, so product development and our merchants to figure out like what needs to go in the stores and what doesn't, what needs to change. And yeah, just do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, it certainly does sound like a lot. So I would assume then that your days look different. Do you have the
hmm
same responsibilities every day?
It looks different every day, but in terms of like seasons, since we go by seasons, I know what to expect for the next season and what to expect around which time. So like if it's color CAD time, okay, then I know I'm about to be on this computer color CADing it up and like putting a bunch of CADs together and making sure that their outfitting is right for like the stores. And then other times we're just sketching a bunch because it's about to be black and white sketch review.
Just sidebar question, how many seasons could you possibly be working with at one time?
2 seasons mostly at a time, but they try to keep it at 1, but obviously
Okay.
stuff interlaps, and then, of course, if there's anything that needs to, like, be corrected within the system, we also have to go back, so you can really be working at multiple seasons at a time, but normally it's, like, 1 to 2.
Okay, awesome. So what kind of skills do you think are essential if anybody would want a career in
Mhm.
design? What skills do you think are essential for that?
High communication skills and collaboration skills. I now s why we had to do all those group projects. It makes sense now. It makes a lot of sense now. But, aside from that, I would say sketching on the computer, knowing how to, do Adobe Illustrator and AutoCAD. If you're trying to get into art, I would obviously know Photoshop and all that stuff, but really sketching and being able to collaborate people has been, like, the biggest skills that I've used here. So I would recommend everyone learn those types of skills.
Yeah, it's really funny that you say that because quite often students are like, why all this group work? And I'm thinking, you don't understand our industry is so collaborative, and very rarely, even in a department, is one
Mhm.
person making the decisions. It's usually like a team effort to make
Yeah.
every decision.
I see now. I was one of those students. I didn't wanna do the group projects, but I understand now. It's needed considering how many people you work with each day and then collaborating with them each and every day. There's not a single day I don't go by without having to talk to my coworkers and asking them about something.
Yeah, absolutely. Which also just brings me to, are you in office full time?
I'm hybrid, so I'm in 3 days a week and then 2 days, work from home.
Oh, that's nice. That's a nice
Mhm.
schedule. Um, what are some of the things that you did to prepare for your job, like while you were still in school?
I did a lot of internships, as you know, a lot of jobs, a lot of internships beforehand, just really trying to build up that portfolio essentially before you graduate. Cause I feel like I was lucky in the sense of where I got my job literally 2 months before we graduated. And that was just because of how much experience I had behind my belt. So getting as much experience as possible, I think would be the best. And then obviously getting certifications too has really been like big. So I got like a Google project management, and then I also got like an Adobe certification too.
Mhm.
Helped me miles. They were like, "Wow, you got Adobe?" I was like, "Yeah, I did that." So, so getting those are I would say is like the most benefit, and then obviously getting as much experience as possible, and using those college experiences too, because I used Campus Couture for so many interviews, and people were really impressed by it.
Yeah, maybe we should mention right now
Mhm.
what your involvement was in Campus Couture so students know.
Yes. If you don't already know, I was the design liaison for 2 years at Campus Couture from, gosh, 2022 till when did I graduate? 2024. And I was the head design liaison 1 year and then design liaison the first year. And basically, I just assisted all the designers and models and put them all together and making sure everything runs smoothly. And low key, my role was bleeding into others, but I helped guide and lead our organization into success. So
You
that's what I'm
really
most
did.
proud of.
Yeah, you definitely are a go-getter, Jordyn. So I think you're a great testament how working a lot during school and taking all those opportunities that come your way can be really beneficial because, like you said, it was 2 months before you graduated that you already
Mhm.
had this job lined up. So kudos to you.
Thank
Um,
you.
Continuing with our topic kind of school, are there any classes that you felt were beneficial to what you're doing now in the industry?
I would say, oh yeah, Professor Goodspeed's pattern making class was really beneficial, especially in fit, because then I can communicate with our tech designers and they can communicate to me easier. Like, you see what this needs to be rised up like a half an inch or XYZ or whatever. So those were really informative. I realized like how that class like was informative now. Obviously all the sketching classes and Adobe classes, those were all informative. And believe it or not, even though I struggled and I hated it because I hate math, but the fashion buying class,
Mm.
you would think it wouldn't fall into design, but like whenever you're working with your cross-functional partners, so like the PD team and the merch team, it made sense. And they would tell me we can't do this trim because it's too expensive, XYZ. And I was like, oh. And then they showed me the math and I'm like, oh, well, now we got to simplify the design. So it just makes it easier. So that way you're not like, why are we doing this? Why are you trying to change my design? Because I know some people take it a little personal when it's really not personal.
Yes.
It's truly just financial and business.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing that so students can align their course schedule with their passions. Do you have any advice, any overall advice for students, maybe graduating soon or
Mm,
um, thinking about what they want to do in the industry?
I think the top things that I took away was definitely like I'm glad that I did Campus Couture and did other things in college to explore other passions just to see like if design was fully what I wanted to go into, as well as realizing that 9 to 5 is a 9 to 5. We're not on a college schedule anymore. I think that's been the hardest thing for me to like adjust to, even though I'm in office 3 days a week. I'm luckier than most, but yeah, your whole day is gone. Like you're 9 to 5, you're at work, you're doing your work, and then if you have a commute, even worse. But it's all worth it in the end because you're doing whatever you love. So, but yeah, 9 to 5 is 9 to 5. That's like my biggest takeaway. Mhm.
It's a hard fact, and it's something that I think a lot of students struggle with when they first leave school, because you're just not, you kind of like you can build your own class schedule and whatnot. And in corporate world, a lot of positions you can't really build your own schedule. They may say you can come in between 8 and 9, but then it's like you can leave
They
between.
really want you there at 9. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think that's really, really good advice to get students prepared for that as best you can. Get
Yeah.
prepared for that reality of yes, 9 to 5 is 9 to 5. So kind of then just anything that you want to share about Torrid, like the corporate culture or anything that you think students should know if they were going to be applying for a job or an internship with the company?
Yeah. Well, first things first, it is a city of industry. I know we're all in Long Beach, so that is a commute for some. But I mean, you come in 3 days a week, so it's fine. But overall, I would say out of all the places that I've worked toward has probably been the most inclusive and most friendly office that I've ever worked for. And
That's
I've
nice.
worked for a lot of companies,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But it's definitely been like the most welcoming culture and just welcoming people. Like, everyone's really nice here, everyone's willing to learn, and especially if you get a good team, they will help you learn more in your position. I've learned so much from my PD and tech teams and even my merchants too. So just really be prepared for like a nice working culture, but everything's really fast here because even though it's not necessarily fast fashion like Shein or like Fashion Nova, it's still pretty fast when we move through these cycles. So you definitely had to keep up and you can't get lost. And oh, always remember, wherever you go, there's gonna be company jargon that you will not understand. Oh my gosh, they were saying so many terms when I first came here, and I was like, "I don't understand what's happening." It takes you like 3 or 4 months to understand what they're all saying. Like, it's like little, what's it called? Abbreviations and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Crazy, but yeah, overall, it's been a really nice place to work here, and I'm glad that this was, like, my first real, like, full-on job, full time.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that because when companies have their own little way of like speaking, they don't remember that someone coming in doesn't know that jargon, that it's like exclusive to the company. I remember
Yeah.
I used to work for Target
Mhm.
and in the store, I used to work
Mhm.
as a sales associate and they would be like, go pick up the Penelope. And I was like, am I picking up a person? Like, who's Penelope? And it took me a while to understand that it was
Uh-huh.
the thing that like the rack that the returns would be on at like guest service.
Oh,
So it was just like what they called their rack, a Penelope.
Penelope.
Or we had like a little computer
Uh-huh.
systems and they called those zebras. And at first I was like, what's a zebra? Like, why do I need a zebra? But yeah, so that's everywhere. It
Interesting.
takes a while to understand
Yeah.
all the jargon.
Huh. Okay, that's different. Mm.
So, last thing I just want to ask you is does Torrid offer internship opportunities?
Yes, only in the summer.
Okay. All right, perfect. Yeah, and then I can always make sure to share that information with the students. And I think too, their internships are like kind of on a need basis, so they're not necessarily the same like every summer. Okay,
Yeah, yeah, because some departments will need help more with others just depending on what's going on. I know that since we have a lot of, different things coming out soon, that design needs more help and probably tech, obviously, because whatever we design, they have to measure out. So design,
right.
tech, product development, I think finance and, like, merchants and stuff like that, I think they're fine there, but they'll post it all, and I know that it'll show.
Perfect. Okay. Well, Jordan, thank you so much for your time. Really, really appreciate and always nice to see a fashion program alum come back and chat with us. So
Of
thank you.
course, Professor Morel, anything for you.
All right. Thanks again and have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.